Okay, well, hello, my name is Ian. I'm a professor of finance at Durham University in the UK. I have a role as a director of global student recruitment, so do a lot of travelling on behalf of the university and on behalf of the business school. I'm here with my colleague John, who's our student recruitment relationship manager, and I'll take you through a little bit of information about the university and the business school. Okay, next. A little bit about Durham, third oldest university in the UK, behind Oxford and Cambridge. We actually had an academic community in Durham which predated both of those two universities, but we didn't quite get our act together in time to become a university first. We were established in 1832. We're a member of the Russell Group of Universities, which are the research-intensive universities in the UK. Durham is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's built on a peninsula and a river, dominated by a 1,000-year-old Norman cathedral, and also a castle which is part of the university, and some students do actually live in a castle. We are a collegiate university, so made up of an amalgamation of 17 colleges, and this is something that really differentiates Durham from a lot of our peers, but I'll say a little bit more about that in a moment. We have in excess of 21,000 students. The population of Durham is only around about 45,000. It's a very small city, so it's very, very much a college town. It's very geared to supporting students. We've also got over 5,000 members of staff. So in term time, I would guess in Durham, 1 in every 2 people you meet will have some kind of association with the university. We're also very, very international. Over 30% of our staff are international, and around about the same amount of our students. A little bit about the business school. Second oldest business school in the UK, founded in 1965. We originally founded as a school for teaching executives. So that was our starting point. So very, very quickly established a reputation for interacting with leaders in business. We're represented by over 100 nationalities in the faculty, so 220 plus faculty members. We've got over 1,000 postgraduate students across a range of programs, which I'll talk about in a moment. We are very strong in our partnerships with business from a research perspective. So we do collaborative research with organizations, also through teaching. So a lot of our work is informed by business, but also in partnership with business. So for example, I work with an option trading corporation that provide us with software that gives students the opportunity to actually trade with professional traders. We don't allow them to trade real money, but they do that kind of trading experience. So a lot of that kind of thing goes on. We have a variety of research centres. So the people who actually teach you in Durham are the people who are writing the journal articles and writing textbooks and so on. We are accredited quite significantly. So you will see that the programs that we deliver are accredited by organisations such as the Chartered Financial Analysts, the ACCA for accounting, the Chartered Marketing Institute, and so on. We are now 60 years and 1 month old, so we've all got these little 60th anniversary badges on. So it was the 60th anniversary between 2025 and 2026. So we've been doing this a long time. We've got a very, very active alumni community around the world. You can see there 39,000 international alumni, over 140 countries. What you'll also see on these slides is something that says the Times and Sunday Times Good University Guide, University of the Year for 2026. That ranking meant that we were ranked above both Oxford and Cambridge. That's the first time that's actually happened. So we like to talk about it quite a lot. We're quite pleased with that. Oxford and Cambridge aren't quite so pleased. Okay, so we recently, just over 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago now, we moved into a new building, the Waterside building. We were previously at Mill Hill Lane. This has allowed us to greatly improved the kind of resources and facilities that are available within the business school. We still work across 2 sites. Durham has a particular arrangement in terms of teaching, so that for any student they could be taught on a variety of different areas of the university. I did some teaching last year where I was in the chemistry department, just because the rooms were best suited for that teaching. But what we try to do is make sure that all of our students get at least some teaching within our new business school. Part of it is kitted out with a new financial trading lab that has 20 Bloomberg terminals in there. It has a stock price ticker going round the room in there. 20 Bloomberg terminals for us is quite an achievement. These things are phenomenally expensive, but it does allow us to do a lot of experiential learning. So actually learning by doing, as you would within an industry. There's 4 departments within our school: accounting, economics, finance, and management and marketing. So we are an independent faculty. There are 4 faculties across the university: arts and humanities, social sciences, science, and business. We've also got a hub for professional and executive education, which sits outside of any one department. So that's where we teach things like MBAs, DBAs, exec ed, and so forth. And we do programs in collaboration with industry. What about rankings? We are triple accredited. We're triple accredited by AACSB, which is the Association for the Advancement of Collegiate Schools of Business. A bit of a mouthful. The Association of MBAs, and the European Quality Improvement Scheme. So there's only a handful of universities worldwide that have got all 3 accreditations. Most of the top universities have. AACSB is a really, really important one for anybody who wants to work in the United States, because if you're working there and you say, I've been to a business school and it's not AACSB accredited, they pretty much won't recognise that. A lot of rankings down the right hand side. I think the most important thing is that this is a highly ranked university, generally figures in the top 5, top 6 in the UK across a variety of metrics. We're also in the QS top 100, and we've got 22 subject areas in the QS top 100 as well. I think maybe 22 in the top 50 actually. We're a full service business school. I guess undergraduate is less important to you guys, but we do a full range of undergraduate programs. All of these are available with placement years and study abroad options. More importantly for our purposes, we do postgraduate taught programs across the range of the subject areas. MSc in accounting. Under finance, there are a variety of pathways, so people can specialise in finance, but with an accounting angle, an economics angle, investment, financial technology, which is the one that is really becoming more and more important, which is where you'd be doing, modules in FinTech, coding, etc. So coding is one of the highest in-demand skills by financial employers at the moment. That could change if artificial intelligence becomes a better coder than people, but then we'll see how that develops, and we'll develop our programs alongside that. Corporate and international finance. I've mentioned earlier that I'm a Durham graduate myself. I did my master's degree, my PhD in Durham, and that was back in those days, a very, very long time ago. That was the only finance master's degree that we did, and that's the one I took. There is a management and finance option, and that is for students who want to go into kind of leadership in the financial industry. It has less of a quantitative requirement than the other finance modules, so it is less mathematics heavy. Also Islamic finance, and a joint program that we do with the law department, which is an MSc in law and finance. We do full-time MBA, also part-time MBA in economics. We have an MSc in economics, one that's much more on the behavioural side. So that will include things like experimental economics, behavioural economics, and so on. And also an environmental and natural resource economics. Full suite across marketing and management, so business analytics, management, ones with specialisms in consulting or entrepreneurship, one in HRM, supply chain and logistics management, international business and marketing. So I guess what students need to be thinking about, applicants need to be thinking about, is where I would like to specialise. There is a lot of flexibility across these programs, so there is different ways that you can plan your route through a master's. Okay. Updates, well, for 2026 there was no application fee for our programs. English language changes, standardised at band B, so the IELTS score is 6.5 with no element below 6. We have pre-sessional language courses for PG applicants, and we also now accept the Duolingo English language test. As far as deposits concerned, we only require a deposit once 4 weeks after a student becomes, within 4 weeks after a student becomes unconditional, or if they accept a business school scholarship. So if they accept a scholarship, we're expecting a deposit within four weeks of that offer. Innovative learning and teaching. I think one thing that students are both interested in and will benefit from are more innovative teaching and learning styles. So the traditional university model was always around a professor giving a lecture, then a student attending a seminar, or maybe a practical in those subjects and doing some reading in between. That's not really an optimal way for learning. It's often said that the information goes from the notes of the lecturer to the notes of the student without passing through the brains of either. So what we've got to do is try and promote other ways of learning. So these are just some of the things that we're doing. We have industry-endorsed degree programs, so things that are endorsed by the financial industry, the accounting industry, the chartered institution management, and so on. A wide range of guest speaker programs, so we invite in people from industry, but we also have something called Professors in Practice. So these are people who are given a professorial title, but they're experts in a particular field. So we've got someone who comes from Evercore, which are one of the big mergers and acquisition companies in London, who comes in and does a role as a professor in practice and interacts very, very well with our students and gives things like master classes. The workshop learning model is, rather than say having a 1 hour lecture, you will have a 3 or 4 hour session. It will be flipped, so students would be expected to do some reading before they came along. There'll be some interaction with the lecture, but it'll be very much learning by doing. So we'd have a lecturer in there, we'd have 2 teaching assistants in there, and they would be doing different types of activities within the classroom to enhance learning that way. Interaction with business, we do field trips around City of London institutions. We do business projects. One thing I would say about working with institutions from London is that geographical proximity to those industries does not matter in terms of getting a job. A lot of people think, the closer I live to London, the more chance I'm going to get into a company in London. It doesn't work like that, because the companies come to us rather than the other way around. There is an international study tour as one of the modules to do in a master's program in finance and in management. So students have been to a variety of places around Europe for 5 days where they will interact with companies. They will get some taught components. So we had one recently in Milan where some of the taught component was done within Polimi University. So that is quite an attractive thing on our program. I've talked about the Financial Trading Lab. We've talked about affiliation with professional bodies. Something that I think is a key aspect to any program is that you don't just develop academic skills or subject-specific skills. You develop the kind of soft skills that employers want, that they look for. You also need to build a network of employers, and these things are really, really important in terms of getting a job. So we've introduced something called a Certificate of Engagement with Professional Practice. So this involves a series of activities. They could be attending a master class, for example, in Python or something like that. It could be going to work with someone coming in. We've got someone Alan Maltz, who comes in from Columbia University in New York and does a bond fixed income kind of session with students. But we also have networking with these kind of guys, and we have people from industry doing master classes or lectures or guest speaker sections, but also types of training that we do. So boot camps in Python, SQL, and different kinds of activities like that. Once a student completes a certain number, they qualify for a certificate of engagement in professional practice, and that comes on top of their degree. It will appear on the transcript. One of the really important parts of that is the networks that they establish within industry. So basically that's what they do for that. Very, very strong career support, both within the university and within the business school. The university has a careers service which is available to all students in the university. But within the business school, we have dedicated career staff who will help with building your network of contacts, preparing CVs, and all the various things you need to do in terms of employability. So that is dedicated to our master's students within the university. We also give support to our students after they leave, so they're always entitled to lifelong support from the university. This is just some of the outcomes in terms of employment rates. So you can see that our students get jobs. Not only do they get jobs, they get good jobs. So we've got, these are combinations of those who've graduated between 2022 and 2024. And these are the average salaries that they've had in that period. So you can see economics, $52,809, finance, $44,000, $40,000 for international business, and so on and so forth. So quite impressive employability statistics. We do have some scholarships. We have Master's Achievement Scholarships of up to £12,500, which were awarded by the business school. Currently, you only have to apply for a program to be considered. I've checked with John, making sure I get this right. You only have to apply for a program to be eligible for a Master's Achievement Scholarship. So I have a range available there. There is also a university level scholarship called Inspiring Excellence. These are of either £10,000 or £5,000 for a master's student. For these ones, you have to apply for a scholarship. A little bit about the wider student experience at Durham. This is something we really pride ourselves on. As I said, we've got 17 colleges, so if students apply to Durham, they can also have a choice of college. They can list their top 5 in order of preference. These colleges, on the face of it, look a bit like the ones in Oxford and Cambridge, but ours differ. Ours do not do any teaching. So colleges are places where students live. It is where they have a lot of welfare support and pastoral care. They have sports teams, they have clubs, they all have a coffee shop, they have a gym, they have a restaurant, they have a bar, they have a games room, they have a library, and they're very, very competitive with each other. Each one has a website, so I always encourage applicants to have a look at that website because some of them have got real specialities. Some of them are very old and traditional, and they're mainly on the street called the Bailey, which wraps itself around the cathedral. So up there you'll get places like St. John's, St. Cuthbert's, Hatfield, University College. University College is the one that is in the castle. There are newer colleges which are up the hill, so they're known as hill colleges. Collingwood College is very well known for its sporting excellence. Josephine Butler is known for its outreach into the community. But what I always say to students, whichever college you join, within 3 weeks, that is the best one. And when you're a member of a college, you're a member for life. And this is very, very much part of the Durham experience. I've done a lot of alumni events around the world, and you get people who've graduated a year ago, 5 years, 10, 30. First thing they say to each other, they say, oh, what college were you in? Oh, I was in Trevelyan. Oh, I was in St. Mary's. It's that kind of bonding that you get. So I think I've probably said all of that, haven't I? But I think the college is something that really sets Durham apart from a lot of its competitors. As far as sports concerned, Durham is ranked #1 in the UK for team sports. There's been a tremendous amount of investment in our sporting facilities. It's not all about elite sports, it's about participation. So there are inter-college leagues, there are university level sports. We don't do any teaching on Wednesday afternoons. That's so that students can either take part in sport, or they may be into dance, or they may be into music or drama or whatever. So that time is set aside. Now students are very, very active there. There are a lot of clubs and societies which the students will set up themselves. And there are hundreds of these things, as widely diverse as the Lego Society and the Bubble Tea Society, and jumping out of aeroplanes type of society. So there's all kinds of clubs and things going on. Our students are very, very active in that respect. And if there isn't the society that you want, then maybe you could just start one yourself. Some of them are very academic related, such as debating and finance and stuff like that. In the colleges, some of them are fully catered, some of them are self-catered, and some of them are part-catered. So that is another thing to look into. They will also have formals. A formal is where the students are dining in gowns. The masters are on the high table. It happens in the Great Hall in University College, which is the one in the castle. It looks very Harry Potter-esque. Now, that isn't for everybody. A lot of students love that. Personally, I would hate it. So it's really very much about choice. So it's one thing to bear in mind when a student is choosing a college, and you can see on our website, it'll tell you what each college does. Does it have formals? Is it fully catered? Is it self-catered? And so on. I think I've covered all of that. Yeah, and I think that's more or less it. That's my little pitch for Durham.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.